It's Monday, November 28th. I'm Tre'vell Anderson.
And I'm Priyanka Arabindi, and this is What a Day, a podcast from the network that is now run by the two turkeys pardoned by President Biden last week.
So if you hear a random gobble gobble every now and again, you know what's up.
Yeah, they found a new home. We can't help it, we're animal lovers. Sorry. On today's show, rare public protests erupted across China over the weekend. Plus, Twitter plans to roll out a new verification system, which I'm sure is going to go great.
But first, the Thanksgiving holiday this past weekend was overshadowed, to say the least, by gun violence. We want to give y'all an update about two mass shootings over the break, and just a quick warning, we'll be talking about some heavy things, including anti-LGBTQ violence, so if you need a break from hearing about any of that, we completely understand. You'll want to skip ahead by a few minutes. So let's start with Colorado Springs. A little over a week ago, 5 people were killed and dozens others injured at Club Q, an LGBTQ bar that served as a safe space for the area's queer community for over 20 years. It happened just a few hours before Trans Day of Remembrance, an annual memorial that concludes Transgender Awareness Week and honors the lives of folks who've died because of anti-trans violence. By now, you've probably read all the stories about the Army veteran who'd been at the bar to watch a drag show with his family and friends, who wrestled the gunman to the floor. He was aided by a trans woman and other bar patrons in subduing the shooter until police arrived. At this point, the shooter is in custody, but officials have not yet released any details about the shooter's alleged motive, even though they are investigating it as a possible hate crime.
Yeah, I know for a lot of people, this shooting brought back memories of the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando.
Yeah, you know, Pulse was one of the very first things that I flashed back to when I heard the news. And for those who don't remember, Pulse was the Orlando gay club where back in 2016, a gunman killed 49 people and wounded over 50 others during the club's Latin night. It was during Pride Month. And like I said, upon hearing about the Club Q shooting, I definitely began feeling, you know, some of the same grief and sadness and fear and justified anger as I did a few years ago. And I think so many of those of us in queer and trans community did and do kind of, you know, connect these two moments, the Club Q shooting with the Pulse nightclub shooting, because of the ongoing historic moment of anti-LGBTQ sentiment that we are living through as manifested in book bans and don't say gay laws and trans healthcare restrictions and armed protests at drag shows and drag queen story hours, among other foolishness. You know, for us, it's not hard to trace a line from this legislative and social rhetoric to the violence and attacks like Pulse or the Club Q shooting that the LGBTQ community experiences.
Yeah, at this point, it is a very, very well-defined, very well-known line.
Yeah.
And then, you know, days after the Colorado Springs shooting, another mass shooting took place in Chesapeake, Virginia. Can you tell us more about what happened there?
Yeah, so 6 people were shot and killed at a Walmart there in Chesapeake, Virginia. All of them were employees of Walmart, including a 16-year-old. Another 6 were wounded in the shooting, apparently committed by one of the store's managers. He also killed himself at the scene. Now, details are still coming out about what might have motivated this shooting, and officials released Friday a quote-unquote death note the shooter had written on his phone. But they also revealed that the handgun that was used in the shooting was legally obtained earlier the day of the shooting. And so both shootings, Club Q and here in Chesapeake, Virginia, have once again put the gun control debate back center stage. There have been 616 mass shootings this year, according to the Gun Violence Archives tracking. They're a nonprofit that collects information about gun violence in the U.S., and they define a mass shooting as one where 4 or more people are shot or killed.
Right. And the question that has been on so many people's minds after these shootings, every time something like this happens, you know, month after month, year after year, as this gun violence continues to get worse, is what is anybody who's supposed to be in charge doing at all to keep us safe?
Right. Like you said, every single time that we, you know, have one of these instances. So let's talk about the protections that we currently have in place at this time.
Yeah. So 19 states and DC, including both Colorado and Virginia, where both of these mass shootings took place, have some form of red flag laws on the books. These are civil processes that allow courts to take guns away from people who may pose a threat to themselves or others. And, they're usually touted as laws that are supposed to make us feel safer. But back in September, the Associated Press found that these laws are actually barely used because both of a lack of awareness of how they work and resistance from some authorities about actually enforcing them. So in Colorado, there are questions about why the Club Q shooter's previous threats didn't trigger those laws. A year and a half ago, the shooter allegedly threatened their mother with a homemade bomb. A bomb squad was called, neighbors had to evacuate, and crisis negotiators were needed to talk them into surrendering. It was, not a blip on the radar. That definitely is a big deal. Mm-hmm. But apparently this never registered on background checks. And that is because the charges were dropped and the records were sealed for some reason. It is still unclear why that happened. And apparently no one in the shooter's life used the red flag law or knew to use the red flag law, which would have allowed family members or a police officer to petition a judge to temporarily take away their guns. Colorado Governor Jared Polis said that he'd take a closer look at why this law failed to prevent the shooting and said that an expansion of the law may also be considered. In Virginia, where one of the country's worst mass shootings took place back in 2007 at Virginia Tech, Democrats have passed a whole slate of gun control legislation in the past few years. It includes their own red flag law, universal background checks, reporting requirements for lost or stolen firearms, a monthly limit on handgun purchases, and a 3-year ban on firearm possession for some people convicted of assaulting a family member. That is because research indicates that mass shooters typically have a history of domestic abuse, especially towards women. But Democrats lost control of the governorship and the House of Delegates in Virginia a year ago. And their new governor, Republican Glenn Youngkin, has said that he would support repealing some of those policies if his party regains control of the state Senate, which, I don't think he made those comments in the wake of this violence, but that's actually kind of hard to say because this happens every single day in this country. So I don't know when it would ever make sense to make a comment like that. It's just incredibly stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah, I will just note that every time we mention Glenn Youngkin's name on this show, it's not for a good reason.
No, certainly not.
I think that, he should talk to somebody about that. So that's what things look like on the state level. What about on the federal level?
Yeah, that has really been the question for some time as well. President Biden told reporters Thanksgiving Day that he will try once again to pass some form of a ban on assault weapons before the new Congress is seated in January.
The idea we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick. It's just sick. It has no social redeeming value. Zero, none. Not a single solitary rationale for it except profit for the gun manufacturer.
Can you do anything about gun laws during the lame duck, sir?
I'm going to try.
What will you try and do?
I'm going to try to get rid of assault weapons.
It'll face long odds, especially in the Senate, where Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, who's been, a leader in this area, says that they don't have the 60 votes that they'd need to pass it. But the AP does note that the bipartisan gun control bill that was passed back in June was a big incremental step, and that the messaging from Democrats to get these measures passed is much stronger than it's ever been. We'll continue to follow all of this and keep you updated, but that is the latest for now. We'll be back after some ads.
What Today is brought to you by Aura Frames. Do you take about 1 million photos only to let them sit in your phone forever?
Yep.
What if you could put all of your photos from random camera roll pics to that high-res wedding album onto one gorgeous frame? Or maybe you're like me and you just want to put all your selfies on a gorgeous, wonderful frame. Now you can with Aura Frames.
These aren't your typical digital photo displays. Each Aura frame is thoughtfully designed to fit any decor style with a stunning HD display, unlimited storage, and they are super easy to set up. I did it myself, which means it must be easy. You can even invite friends and family to comment on your photos and add ones of their own. It's like having a real-life social network for your loved ones, but it's on your frame, and there is no tech company drama and all that kind of nonsense.
Absolutely. Right now, listeners can take advantage of Aura's Cyber Monday sale and get up to $50 off their best-selling Carver matte frames. Just go to auraframes.com/WAD. That's AURA frames.com/WAD.
Yeah, this makes such a good gift. Do not miss it. These are Aura's lowest prices ever, so get yours now before they all sell out. And if you miss the sale, there will still be great deals through the end of the year. Terms and conditions apply.
What Today is also brought to you by Apostrophe. The holiday season is here, and with it comes gift giving, lots of great food, and of course, those dreaded holiday portraits. If you're like me, this past week you were with your family and your parents just wanted to take pictures all over the place. They didn't care about that zit that was in the middle of your forehead. You just had to do it, okay?
Yeah, and while we can't control everything about the holidays or those photos, you can feel confident about your skin. That is why we are excited to partner with Apostrophe. Apostrophe is an online platform that connects you with an expert dermatology team to get customized acne treatment for your unique skin.
Just fill out an online consultation about your skin goals and medical history, then snap a few selfies, and a board-certified dermatologist will create your initial customized treatment plan. Apostrophe offers access to prescription treatments for all types of acne to help you treat breakouts from head to toe.
We have a special deal for our audience. Get your first visit for only $5 at apostrophe.com/WAD when you use our code WAD. That is a savings of $15, and this code is only available to our listeners. To get started, just go to apostrophe.com/WAD and click Get Started. Then use our code WAD at sign up, and you'll get your first visit for only $5. Thank you, Apostrophe, for sponsoring this episode.
What Today is also brought to you by Simply Safe. We know that so many of you are going to be traveling. You've already been traveling for the holidays. And if you're like me, you want to make sure that your belongings, your car, your beautiful couch, your wonderful, 72-inch screen TV, or whatever it may be, right, is safe for you to return home
right.
to, okay? So if you've been thinking about getting a home security system, this is for you. Because right now, What Today listeners can order the #1 rated Simply Safe home security system for 50% off.
Simply Safe offers whole home security with advanced sensors to protect every room, window, and door of your home. And with the easy-to-use Simply Safe app, you are in complete control of your system no matter where you are, whether you need to unlock a door for a guest or check on a package at your front door, whatever you may need.
Don't miss your chance for massive savings on this top-rated security system. Get 50% off any new system at simplysafe.com/whataday today. This is their biggest discount of the year. That's simplysafe.com/whataday. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Now let's wrap up with some headlines.
Headlines.
Protests broke out in major cities across China over the weekend as angry residents took to the streets over the country's strict zero-COVID policies. The demonstrations started late last week after an apartment fire killed 10 people in the country's far west. It's widely believed that the victims were unable to escape and rescue efforts were hampered because the building was under lockdown. Many demonstrators have since rallied against China's aggressive strategy for containing the virus, which has left millions of people confined to their homes for weeks or even months on end. Some are even calling for Chinese President Xi Jinping to resign. In a video taken from the city of Chengdu, protesters chanted freedom of expression and freedom of the press. Such widespread demonstrations are rare in China, where the ruling Communist Party has historically cracked down on dissent.
They rightfully so are expressing, how they feel about this, and I hope that they remain safe while they do so. Last week, one of the biggest rail unions in the country rejected a new labor contract brokered by the Biden administration, reviving fears of a nationwide freight strike right before the holidays. 8 unions have accepted the deal, but all 12 of the nation's rail unions must approve their contracts to avoid a strike. I guess that is what they mean by all aboard. The 4 holdouts will now return to the bargaining table if they can't reach an agreement. A strike or a lockout could begin as soon as December 9th. And in other labor news, workers at an Amazon facility in northern Kentucky are preparing to unionize. More than 4,000 employees at the retail giant's largest air hub in the world are organizing for higher wages, more paid time off, and union representation at disciplinary hearings.
Defeated candidate for Arizona Governor Kari Lake sued the state's Maricopa County last week, demanding that officials hand over documents related to the election in the wake of her loss. Lake is following a long-held tradition of women named Kari asking to speak to the manager. Instead of conceding to her Democratic opponent Katie Hobbs, Lake has accused county election workers of breaking the state's election laws and alleged that some of her supporters may not have been able to cast their ballots as a result. According to Lake's legal team, Maricopa County officials have not produced the desired records. The county's Board of Supervisors will vote to certify the election results today.
Girl, just give it up. Just give it up. It's fine. No one has the energy for this. No one's into this.
At all.
We're not doing the big lie 2.0. Just follow everybody else's lead and just say you lost and, I don't know,
just
slither back into
it's
oblivion.
Okay.
See ya. And breaking news about men named Robert at birth, Disney fired CEO Bob Chapek last week, replacing him with his beloved predecessor, Bob Iger. This comes after a rocky chapter for the company under Chapek's leadership that plummeted Disney stock. The now former CEO faced criticism for his expensive approach to developing the company's streaming platform, Disney Plus, as well as fumbling Disney's response to the Don't Say Gay controversy earlier this year. Once Disney reinstated Iger, the company's stock price spiked back up, signaling a strong approval rating from Wall Street. Chapek may have lost this battle of the Bobs, but according to Bloomberg, the outgoing CEO is leaving with a consolation prize of $23 million per his contract.
You know what? If anybody out there wants to take my job for $23 million, go for it. Just take it. You can have it.
I'm going to undercut Travell there. I'll do it for less. I take less. Let's make a deal.
The Biden administration has once again extended the pause on federal student loan payments. The reprieve for borrowers was set to expire at the end of the year, but for now, it'll last through the end of June. You'll remember that back in August, President Biden announced he would cancel up to $20,000 for millions of individual borrowers, but the plan is now in legal limbo. You can thank legal challenges from conservatives and Republican-led states for that headache. And adding to the confusion, just last week, about 16 million borrowers, including myself, who applied for the loan forgiveness program, we received letters saying that we've been approved for that debt relief, but, it's not going anywhere because, they're suing over the law. And so they're playing in my face is what they're doing. In the meantime, the Education Department has since stopped accepting applications until the legal drama is sorted out. But if you ask me, student loans can go forgive themselves and get out the way.
This is a mess, and there's a clear reason that it's a mess. We all know who to blame here. It's the conservatives and the Republican-led states. So if you think that this is fucked up and bad, please direct your complaints to them.
Absolutely.
It's been a minute since you've heard from us. Luckily, 1 minute is exactly the amount of time it takes the Elon Musk-era Twitter to go to hell and back. Some quick highlights. The social media website reportedly lost 50 of its top 100 advertisers. No idea why the other 50 stuck around. Musk said that he'd support Ron DeSantis if he decides to run for president in 2024. And those pesky blue check marks are going through a complete overhaul once again. Earlier this month, Twitter introduced a premium service that allowed anyone to pay for a verified blue checkmark for the price of $8 a month. How could we forget? Twitter quickly suspended the plan after legions of its silliest users took advantage of the service to imitate brands, celebrities, governments, and even Elon Musk himself. The new system, which is set to launch December 2nd, relies on the groundbreaking technology of color coding. Companies will get a gold check, governments get a gray check, and people who are willing to cough up $8 for a premium account will get the blue check. Call us when they've got a color for single and ready. to mingle, so we know who to avoid.
I was about to say, I don't know if you are using Twitter for, dating purposes, but you shouldn't be because it's a hellhole.
Nope.
At all, okay? Just don't. You might find yourself waking up in a few years to somebody who's at the next insurrection attempt, all because you tried to find them on Twitter.
Yeah, that's a red check for a red flag.
And those are the headlines. One more thing before we go, the Crooked Store has launched some brand new merch inspired by your favorite shows just in time for the holidays. Head over to crooked.com/store to find the perfect gift for the Crooked fan in your life and maybe treat yourself to something while you're at it. And this holiday season, every order from the Crooked Store will support Vote Save America's Every Last Vote Fund to ensure that every voice can be heard in the face of unprecedented voter suppression. That's all for today. If you like the show, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, promote and demote a Bob, and tell your friends to listen.
And if you're into reading and not just what's left of Twitter like me, Wadazay has also a nightly newsletter. Check it out and subscribe at crooked.com/subscribe. I'm Priyanka Arabindi.
I'm Tre'vell Anderson.
And
don't fire us, turkeys.
Please forgive us. You have been pardoned. You have experienced the joy of forgiveness, the gift of forgiveness. And please, now allow us to do the same.
I did have some turkey wings for Thanksgiving, though. Don't hold it against me.
Same.
What a Day is a production of Crooked Media. It's recorded and mixed by Bill Lance. Jazzy Marine and Raven Yamamoto are our associate producers. Our head writer is John Milstein, and our executive producer is Lita Martinez. Our theme music is by Colin Gilliard and Kashaka.